See, as and when I announce names, please see that they get unmuted. Okay.
Sure, sir.
I think only see invocation Krishna Kumari and Shilpa will be singing. It is all through the mic. Ma'am will be speaking through the mic. Manish, okay, yeah. See, Manish is going to speak. Rajshekar Jaka is going to. They are all going to speak.
Most of them can go through with this soon. So many news you will get it.
Nodappa, yara unmute madappa yardo. Ellarnu unmute ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡು except the people who are going to talk in the invitation. I think you have in the invitation. Harsh, you have the copy?
Yeah, I have, sir. I have, sir.
Yeah. Except those persons, you are going to mute everybody. There is no question answer sessions here. It's only I'm going to moderate, and only when I say some names, they are going to talk. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir,
and
today,
that
along
national,
with me,
yeah.
National anthem is ready, sir.
Yeah.
And today, along with me, one of my colleagues, Shrikant, is also there in the call.
Yeah.
Today, I am having some problem.
So whom should I coordinate?
Shrikant. I have already made him co-host. Shrikant.
BMJH?
Shrikant.
I don't see his name here.
It will come, sir, on the top now. Shrikant.
Yeah. Okay. So he is going to coordinate, na?
I will be there. In case I am log out because of some network issue, then Shrikant will take over, sir.
Yeah. Fine.
But he will.
Yeah. I see Santosh Abraham, sir. Please welcome, sir. I think you can unmute, sir. I see Shekhar, sir. Viru, welcome and thanks for the thing.
Sir. Venkatesh, sir.
Yeah, Thiru,
yes.
just see that there is a confusion between Srikanth and Harsh. Let one of them coordinate properly.
No. If Harsh is not there, Srikanth will take over.
Sir.
I know. Yeah.
Srikanth will take over, sir.
Yeah.
Not confusion, because
I welcome,
sometimes what happens is Srikanth, network issue will be a problem where Harsh is staying. So Srikanth, as a standby, he is also ready with that.
It's all the network standbys. It's okay.
No problem.
I welcome Sampath. I see Shekhar sir. Santosh sir is already there. I think Rosalind ma'am. Hebsur is there.
Harsh.
Yeah.
Harsh, kindly share the YouTube link and Facebook link.
Yeah.
I think it's already live on YouTube.
He's streaming on the YouTube right now.
Yeah. Facebook also you can.
Facebook also.
In the message, I have pasted the link. YouTube link. Forwarding to the link.
Yeah. People are there. Okay.
Harsh, did you check with Santosh sir's PPT?
Yes, sir. Please start.
Harsh?
Received.
Yeah. So you want to check it again, sir? Santosh sir, you want to check it? Sharing the screen once. I think unmute, sir. Unmute yourself.
I have pasted the YouTube link in the chat window. This link you can share with the other doctors and the other people, maybe on the WhatsApp.
You have to unmute Santosh sir for a few seconds. Let him check his PPT.
Unmute.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to everyone.
Can you just share your screen, sir?
I will have to be given permission to that.
I think make him co-host, na?
No. I'm now okay. Now I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, I think your screen is shared, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I think it will open up. No problem.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
we can stop.
Just put it on the full screen, sir, at the time of presentation.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thiru, you're online? Thiru? I'm going to start, ma'am. It's 5:55. I'm going to start now. It is already 5:55. By the time I do my introduction, all that, it will be 6 o'clock. I think you can send those girls on stage. Welcome all surgical fraternity. It's a great evening here. We are doing Surgeons Day. We are celebrating our own day in spite of all the odds. Corona taking its own course. We are mourning so many doctors. As you know, the mortality rate of doctors is more than 15 to 17%. We're losing so many young lives also. So with lots of prayers with their families, we're going to start the Surgeons Day today. I'm going to call upon Dr. Krishna Kumari and Shilpa come on to the podium for invocation. Dr. Krishna Kumari and Shilpa. Welcome all again to this great Surgeons Day. So we have eminent speakers, we have eminent chief guests, we have the senior surgeons honoring programs. So we'll stick on to the time, 6 to 7:30, so that we can break for the IPL as usual. Everything has to start with invocation, inviting the God. Dr. Krishna Kumari and Shilpa.
महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिं महादेवसुतं गुरुगुहनुतं मारकोटिप्रकाशं शान्तं महाकाव्यनाटकादिप्रियं मूषिकवाहनमोदकप्रियं महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि महागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि वसिष्ठवामदेवादिवन्दितमहागणपतिं मनसा स्मरामि. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That was a great invocation. Dr. Krishna Kumari and Shilpa. I welcome my president, the Lady President of Surgical Society, Bangalore. Please come on to the stage, ma'am. I call upon Pai or Manish to welcome her with our medallion, the President's medallion. Our dynamic, young and the Lady President of Surgical Society of Bangalore. As you know, we have been doing so many monthly clinical meetings, the teaching programs, as usual, in spite of this corona, everything online. Thank you, Pai. Srikhar Pai is our joint secretary. Yes, ma'am. I welcome all this, our advisors, EC members. I see so many from the ASICC chapter. I welcome all the guests again to this Surgeons Day. Ma'am, it's your time. President's address.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to all of you. As you all know, Surgical Society of Bangalore is the most vibrant cities chapter since the time of its inception in the year 1974. We are an association of almost more than 1,000 members, and we organize clinical meetings usually on the third Wednesday of every month. And this has been a routine from the time the Surgical Society has started. This will be hosted by all the medical colleges and also the private institutions. We also host several CMEs and workshop program. The highlight of the Surgical Society and academic programs is the Surgeons Day celebration and the continuing surgical education program. The CSCP happens in the month of November, which is a week's length program. It's mainly the intention is all academic activities, wherein postgraduates from all over the country and mainly from the South will be participating in this. And the highlight again of the CSCP is the clinical discussion, which all the students enjoy and they feel very, very confident at the end of the CSCP. And along with this, there will be a few lectures, and we also have a skill course workshop on the first day of the event. And the most important program in CSCP is the Dr. K.S. Shekhar Quiz Program, which is led by Dr. C.S. Rajan for several years and appreciated by all. It's a national level quiz. Coming to the Surgeons Day celebration, this is very unique for Surgical Society of Bangalore since this was started from the year 2000. And this has been to celebrate the spirit of the surgical community of Bangalore. It's usually celebrated in the month of June. However, due to obvious reasons, we are having it today. The prestigious Professor Balkrishna Rao Memorial Oration is delivered during this occasion. Dr. Professor Balkrishna Rao has been a professor and teacher of several medical colleges, including the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We'll hear more about him after some time. So it's time to welcome everyone. It's a proud moment to welcome the fearless and brave son of this country, Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, who's the chief guest of this evening. Sir, we welcome you, sir. We welcome you, and we are very proud of you. Sir will be online, and sir will also address all of us. We welcome you, sir. Surgical Society of Bangalore is honored to welcome the senior surgeons whom we are going to honor today. They are the heroes of this evening, Dr. Chalani and Dr. Subramanian. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome the family members of Dr. Chalani and Dr. Subramani. Welcome to you all. Dr. Chalani is a senior surgical consultant at Bhagwan Mahavir Jain Hospital and has been the past president of Surgical Society of Bangalore. We are all aware of his immense contribution to the Surgical Society of Bangalore. I don't think we need to talk more. We all know about it. We have Dr. Subramanian, who is the chairman of the Ethical Committee in Vaidehi Institute of Medical Sciences. We welcome you and your family, sir. I extend my hearty welcome to Professor Balakrishna Rao orator, Dr. Santosh Abraham, who's the HOD of Lourdes Hospital, Kochi. He has been the past president of Association of Surgeons of India, and he has several achievements to his credit. We'll be hearing again about him a lot. A warm welcome to you, sir. Sir is in Kerala, and he will be delivering his oration online. A warm welcome to our dynamic Karnataka State Chairman, Dr. Sopimat. Sir, we welcome you. We also extend our welcome to Dr. Vidyadhar Kinal, Dr. Dayanand Noli, who are the past chairman, and also the chairman-elect, Dr. Arvind Patil. I welcome all the state EC members, and my special welcome to the General Council members of this country, Dr. Ashok Godi, Dr. Shenoy, Dr. Siddesh, and Dr. Shivaram, who's here with us. My hearty welcome to all the past presidents and also to the president-elect, Dr. Venkatachala, who's present over here. My warmest welcome to all my fellow colleagues, the esteemed members of the Surgical Society of Bangalore. My wholehearted respect to all of you who have been the backbone and who have always helped me and this association to grow in its academically. They have been so cooperative and motivating even during these hard times to conduct all our academic programs. So I welcome all the esteemed members of Surgical Society of Bangalore, and a special mention to all those senior surgeons who have set a strong foundation to this association and who have been the pillar and backbone for this association. I welcome all the senior surgeons of Bangalore who are responsible for this association to exist and function. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. M.K. Ramesh, who is the head of department of Bangalore, who has been appointed as the head of PG panel, postgraduate panel under NMC. On behalf of SSB, we congratulate Dr. Ramesh, and hearty congratulations to you and to your new team, sir. So I welcome all of you, and we will start with our felicitation and oration, and we will also have a speech from the chief guest. Thank you for.
Thank you, ma'am. That was our presidential speech. I think we have Sadashiva Sopimat, the chairman of KSC, ASI, the Karnataka State Chapter. Sir, would you like to say hi to all, sir? Sopimat, sir. Harsh, can you unmute Sopimat, sir? Sopimat, sir, are you online? I saw your name, sir. You're logged in. Meanwhile, I welcome Shenai, sir, Vasudeva Rao, sir. We have all our chief guests, all that, Lakshman, sir. Sopimat, sir?
I cannot unmute.
Sir, we are audible.
Now I think, yeah, fine.
Sir, please.
Anyway, my wishes to you all. I would not take away much of your time. I think the program is well planned. I congratulate you and compliment you. All luminaries are there. We hope to hear to them. And my best wishes to the people who have been honored. And also we have a great luminaries who are going to speak on this occasion. My best wishes to you all from KSCASI.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being online, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next program is lighting of the lamp by the guest. Ma'am, can you go ahead with the guest for the lighting of the lamp? We have Shivaram sir, we have Subramani sir, we have Chalani sir. We have President-elect of SSB Venkatachala. Manish. You must have been observing, we are following the corona etiquette, all with masks and less crowd physically. The Surgeon Day, first time it's celebrating offline and online. Now I'd like to call upon Dr. Manish to introduce mentor of our surgical society, Dr. C.R. Chalani. We can't imagine a surgical society Bangalore without Chalani, sir. He's there for all the occasions. Manish, can you introduce Chalani, sir? After the photo session, probably. Myself being the secretary, I'm very sorry to say, I've been the primary contact of one of my assistant professor. I've been forced home isolation. I'm doing it from home.
It's my proud privilege on the occasion of Surgeons Day to be reading out the citation for Dr. C.R. Chalani. A boy who had bright dreams and so I'd like to welcome Dr. Chalani onto the stage while we read out his citation. Sir, please. Please. Remove.
Maintain 6 feet distance, Manish.
So it's my proud privilege to read the citation. Found success in the medical field with sincerity, hard work, and conviction. Dr. Chanchal Raj Chalani, the son of proud parents, late Srimati Sundarbai and late Shri Johari Lal Chalani, was born on 4th January 1951 at Jataran, a small taluk in Rajasthan. With less than bare resources for living, yet driven by passion, both from Dr. S.N. Medical College, Jodhpur, University of Rajasthan. He completed his training in laparoscopy and GI endoscopy from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi in 1994. He began his professional career in 1981 at a referral medical center in Rajasthan. Then between 1983 and 1992, he earned respect through his surgical services as a senior registrar in the Ministry of Health, Libya, and faculty at Al Arab University, Benghazi. He strengthened his knowledge and experience in hepatobiliary and pancreatic surgery, organizing university examinations, and was in charge of the breast clinic by the Department of Surgery. In Bangalore since 1992, he has been proving his caliber and healing lives as an active senior laparoscopic and general surgeon and HOD at Bhagwan Mahavir Jain Hospital, also being associated with various prestigious institutions, Malya Hospital, RK Nursing Home, Santosh Hospital, Hosmat, Columbia Asia, etc. He has worked beyond the call of duty to serve people by participating in multiple free medical camps, conducting surgeries for the needy, as organized by various social and religious organizations, NGOs, and hospitals, and received the Seva Shiromani Award for the same. His dedication and perseverance also transformed into contributing at external forums such as Surgical Society of Bangalore. He has been an active member since 1994, serving in various capacities as a EC member, treasurer, joint secretary, president, special invitee, and now a trusted advisor. He is instrumental in organizing its monthly scientific meetings for private surgeons and also introduced the Gold Medal Award for Young Surgeons of Bangalore. He also was instrumental in laying the foundation for postgraduate teaching program during this monthly scientific meetings as a president in 2008, which is a best practice appreciated, valued, and continued till date. As a joint secretary, he was instrumental in organizing monthly clinical meetings for SSB in a centralized location and arranged sponsorship right back in 2003. He also had the honor to deliver the prestigious Professor M. Adikeshavalu Memorial Oration in 2013. He is also a lifetime member of many organizations and associations like ASI, ACRSI, ELSA, IAGES, AMASI, IHPBA, BGG, IASG, HSI, ABSI, IMA, IMA Secretary and President of IMA East, and Fellow of ICS and ACS. He was associated with many conferences, workshops, and training programs. Just to name a few, organizing secretary of KSESI South Zone Conference in 2009, EC member for organizing workshops for IAGES Midterm Conference, ASICCON 1997, pediatric and GI surgery, laparoscopic hernia repair, breakthrough surgical technologies, metabolic surgery, advanced bariatric metabolic surgery, faculty and treasurer for national conference, workshop and training of ACRSI 2000, treasurer for KSCASI South Zone Conference in 2004, and treasurer for national conference IAGES in 2006. He was an active faculty at Best Institute of Research Center for Laparoscopic Training courses as well. He believes in sharing knowledge, sharing best practices and experiences to as many individuals and students, and hence is also a teacher for postgraduates and undergraduates since 2006. He has published and presented various papers in international journals. He is happily married to Srimati Rajani, who has been a strong support system in his life, and is blessed with two lovely daughters, Komal, who is a practicing dentist, and Megha, who is a practicing consultant, MBA in mental health, and a son, Abhishek, who is working in Bosch with a MS in mechanical engineering from Germany, who are all present here while we felicitate Dr. Chelani. His simplicity, his nature of being rooted, and his strong belief in self eventually opened pathways for him to experience happiness, success, and gratitude. A dream that has a vision and a well-formed outcome creates success stories in spite of all the challenges and difficulties. His is an example of, as long as you can dream, you can achieve. The Surgical Society of Bangalore, Association of Surgeons of India City Chapter, is pleased, proud, and privileged to honor Dr. C.R. Chelani today for his immense contribution to the surgical services of our city and state, and for the surgical excellence in training, research, and teaching. We wish him good health and long years of happy living. Presenting to you Dr. C.R. Chelani.
It's a great honor to have Chalani sir associated with Surgical Society Bangalore. Whether it's a Surgeons Day or CSAP or any medical education program, he is there to mobilize the NGOs and the volunteers, everything financially also. Sir is physical and financial support for the Surgical Society of Bangalore. Thank you, Manish. That was a lesser introduction of Chalani sir. That was great of Chalani sir. I thank President ma'am and Shiram sir for honoring Chalani sir. It's our traditional Mysore Peta. Thank you, Pai, for garlanding, sir. Please accept a token of appreciation, sir. Memento and a citation. Thank you, sir. I call upon Rajashekar Jaka to introduce one more our senior surgeon, Dr. Subramani S.A. Thank you, Subramani, sir. Rajashekar?
Yeah.
Please start, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to introduce the doyen of plastic surgery, Dr. Subramani S.A. He is born in 1943 at our own place here in Bangalore. And there are a lot of achievements. His qualification being MBBS in BMC in 1968, before I was born, and MS General Surgery, that is also from BMC in 1985, and MCH Plastic Surgery in 1990, and FICS 1994. And he is one of the rare doctors who have also got a PhD in 2002 and FAIS in 2004. And he is presently the chairman of ethics committee in Vaidehi Institute of Medical Science and consultant plastic surgeon in Agadi and Rudrappa hospitals. His previous positions being he was a PhD guide for Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences for many PhD students, and he was professor and HOD of plastic surgery at Mysore Medical College, Vaidehi Institute of Medical Sciences, and he was also consultant at Sanjay Gandhi Hospital and Speech and Hearing Institute, Mysuru. He has got many firsts to his credit, and to name a few, he's the first plastic surgeon from Karnataka who received PhD from Bangalore University in 2002. He's the first plastic surgeon who became PhD guide in RGUHS. And he is the first plastic surgeon from Karnataka who received Hari Om Ashram Prerit Dr. S. Rangachari Research Endowment Award in 64th ASI conference in 2004. He is the first plastic surgeon from Karnataka who received Professor R.N. Sinha's award for the best published research article in IJPS 2007. He is also author. He has authored many chapters in the textbook, to name a few: Indian Textbook of Plastic Surgery, chapter Rare Craniofacial Clefts in 2018, and a classification of craniofacial-cervical clefts, that is anterior and posterior, based on his 26 years of research project work, which is published in 2015. He has delivered orations, Hari Om Ashram Prerit Dr. S. Rangachari Research Endowment Oration in ASI 2004, Dr. Adikeshavalu Oration in Vaidehi Institute of Medical Science in 2015. He has also delivered international guest lectures, to name a few: Clefts Education Day in Edinburgh in 2013, and International Congress of Cleft Lip Palate in Chennai in 2017. And he has presented few international papers: Summer Scientific Meeting, British Association of Plastic Surgeons in Oxford University in 2011, and Maria Medical Center, Singapore, to Professor Kubu Chai in Singapore in 2012. So far, he has presented 76 scientific papers in national conferences of APSI, ASI, and ACLP. So it's a proud privilege for me to read out the citation of this doyen in plastic surgery. The Surgical Society of Bangalore, Association of Surgeons of India City Chapter, is pleased, proud, and privileged to honor Dr. Subramani S.A. today for his immense contribution to surgical services of our city chapter, and to the state and to the nation, for his surgical excellence, research, teaching, and training. We wish him good health and long years of happy living. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rajshekar. That was a great introduction. We want the ma'am and the team to honor sir. It's our privilege. Surgical Society of Bangalore is privileged to facilitate these two senior surgeons and fraternity and their great service to the surgical field. Shriram sir and Kalaivani ma'am are felicitating Subramani sir, the Shalu, and the President-elect Venkat is honoring with the Garland. It's our Mysore Peta. Thank you, Srika. Manish, for the memento. The citation, please. It gives immense happiness to all of us when we felicitate and honor our senior surgeons who have paved way for all of us in different surgical fields. Thank you, sir, for accepting. Subramani sir, thank you for accepting this, our little honoring. Now I welcome upon Rajan sir to introduce our chief guest. It's Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar. After the photo session, yeah. India is becoming superpower. Recently, we had Rafael, all that. And our favorite Prime Minister believes offense is the best way of defense. And we have the appropriate chief guest for today, Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, sir, with his immense experience in Indian Army. Even though he's retired in 2002, with his experience to our Army, the Navy, all that, sir has a major contribution in Indian defense system. So I welcome Rajan sir to introduce our chief guest. Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar.
Good evening. Are my slides on, please?
Photo session, sir. Just wait for a few seconds, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, senior surgeons. We'll wait for, let the family also have a photo session. It's our privilege and I think Ashok sir is on stage. Rajan sir, I think they can start, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thank the executive and the president of the Surgical Society of Bangalore for giving me great pleasure and honor to introduce our chief guest for the Surgeons Day 2020. It's none other than Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, Param Vishit Seva Medal, Ati Vishit Seva Medal, Vayu Medal, and mentioned in dispatches. He is a very distinguished officer who served in the Indian Air Force. He was born in 1941 at Davangere and as the son to the local sub-assistant surgeon there, Dr. C.S. David. He was homeschooled at Mysore by his mother. He went on to graduate with a science degree in Central College, Bangalore in 1960. He then went off to do the Air Force Flying College entrance exam in Jodhpur in 1961 and stood third in the All India selection list, so that he was then moved on to being commissioned into the flying branch of the Indian Air Force in 1962. His early years in the Indian Air Force were spent serving frontline fighter squadrons in the Eastern and Western theaters for 9 years. In 1964, he did a 5-month gunnery training in the United States. And in the 1965 hostilities between India and Pakistan, he flew 22 operational missions as part of the hostilities then. Till that time, he had spent flying the Dassault Oregon, the Tufani aircraft, and the Dassault Mystier aircrafts. This is the number 1 squadron in 1965, which was known as the Tigers, and they flew the Mystiers, and they took a very active part in the hostilities. This is Rajkumar down there circle at the extreme. On the 7th of September 1965, these 4 gentlemen, Kahai, Squad Leader Handa, Squadron Leader Flight Lieutenant Brad, Squadron Leader Handa, and my brother as a flying officer were assigned one of the most difficult tasks of attacking an airbase deep inside Pakistan territory called Sargodha. This was a highly dangerous mission, and on that early morning dawn, they took off and flew at 50 to 100 feet level to avoid radar detection, to reach Sargodha and create a lot of damage. This is an artist's impression of what happened on Sargodha that day. This is the plane being flown by Squadron Leader Handa, and he damaged the runway by his bombing. Squadron Leader Kahai then did a lot of damage to the petrol depots on the southern side of the runway, while Flight Lieutenant Brar damaged a lot of parked aircraft on the other side of the runway. This is Rajkumar, who was the tail of that formation. He came in at the last and dropped his bombs to destroy and make the entire Sargodha Air Force Base unserviceable for the rest of the war. But their problems had just started. And by now, the Pakistanis had realized that there was a raid going on, mobilized their sabers and fighter planes to attack these people as they came back towards India. Flying at low heights and dodging all kinds of planes, they somehow managed to reach Indian airspace back, and land safely, with Rajkumar having just 3 minutes of fuel left in his tank. The picture has been painted by Group Captain Deb Gohan, and Rajkumar received a mention in dispatches for his gallantry exhibited during this raid. In 1966, he converted to the high-performance MiG-21 aircraft, and has flown over 3,250 sorties in this beast of an aircraft. In 1971, he was selected to undergo experimental test pilot training in France. He was sent to EPNER, the test pilot school in Istres, France, where he completed this rigorous course of 9 months entirely in the French language, which is a new country, new language, and learning a new tough course was extremely difficult, but he came through with flying colors. It has been noted that flight testing is one of the most demanding, challenging, and exacting professions in the world. In the 70s itself, he had flown the Dassault Mirage 2000. He spent his test flying careers, 20 years of specialized field of flight testing, various fighter aircraft like the MiG-27, the MiG-29, the Sioux series, and the Jaguars. Besides transport and training aircraft, he was instrumental in installing the airborne warning control systems on the Avro 748 and making it stable to fly. Instrumental in commissioning the AN-32, which is the workhorse of transport services in the Indian Air Force today. It flew the Kiran and its replacement, the Hawk, in procuring that for the Air Force. The highlight of his career is that he is one of the very few, perhaps less than 5 people, who have flown all the top-notch fighter aircraft solo in the world: the MiG-29, the French Mirage, the English Jaguar, the US Air Force's F-16, and the Indian Tejas. His operational assignments including commanding a squadron in the Punjab sector and a Jaguar-based squadron in the central sector. The Aircraft and Systems Testing Establishment was established by the Indian Air Force and Government of India to coordinate with HAL in its production test flying, besides being a venue for a test pilot school in India. Rajkumar served here as a test pilot, chief test pilot, and finally commanded the unit between 91 and 93. In 1994, Abdul Kalam sir, the scientific advisor to the Raksha Mantri, specifically asked for his deputation to the Aeronautical Development Agency to plan and execute the flight test program of the light combat aircraft, the Tejas. This was India's most ambitious and risky aeronautical development program because of the many new technologies which were being developed in India for the first time. The Tejas is a single-engine 4th-generation multi-role fighter. It's a tailless compound delta wing configuration with a single vertical stabilizer, powered by a General Electric afterburn turbofan engine. And most importantly, it has a full authority, quadruplex, fly-by-wire digital automatic control system. Air Marshal Rajkumar was grinning from year to year on the 4th of January 2001 when the Tejas made its successful maiden flight. The Tejas is now completely operational and 2 squadrons have been delivered to the Indian Air Force. Until today, there have been no accidents and no loss of aircraft. This is a large measure due to the state-of-art flight testing philosophy and stringent procedures instituted at the National Flight Center in Bangalore by him. He has spent his days chronicling the story in a lovely little book called The Tejas Story. This is available in all bookshops and on Amazon. I request all of you to try and get a copy and read this very exciting story. Besides this passion for flying, he's also a graduate of the Defense Services Staff College in Wellington in 1977, the Royal College of Defense Studies in London in 1990, and he also holds a master's degree in strategic studies from the University of Chennai. The Rashtrapati, the President of India, have awarded him the Param Vishit Seva Medal, the Ati Vishit Seva Medal, and the Vayu medals. And he's also been president of the Aeronautical Society of India for 2 years and now is an honorary fellow of that society. He retired from service in August of 2002, having flown 5,200 hours in 55 different types of aircraft. But he is still fit. And here he is in the cockpit of the Tejas trainer in February 2020, just before the COVID lockdown started, still very keen in his flying interests. He's an avid reader, an ardent trekker, loves sport, and is still very adept at golf. He's always smiling, witty, and has a huge collection of humor, making him the life of every party and gathering. He's married to Sheila. They celebrated their golden wedding anniversary in December 2019. They have a daughter and 2 granddaughters. Without further delay, it is my honor and proud privilege to present to you the chief guest of Surgeons Day 2020, Air Marshal Rajkumar. He will now address us and in his address touch upon the long journey of physics leading to the PET scan machine to make his subject talk relevant to each of us surgeons today. Over to you, Air Marshal Rajkumar.
Rajan sir, thank you sir. That was a great introduction. We had, for the last 6 months, we had seen enough of laparoscopic, robotic surgery, general surgery, so all that. It's different to view all these flights. We are excited to see sir doing so many different 55 flights he had. He has flown 55 types of flights. It's exciting, sir. Thank you, sir. Be on here, sir. Thank you. Rajkumar, sir, it's your time. Sir, unmute, sir. Rajkumar, sir, unmute.
Unmute. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see and hear you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor to be invited to be the chief guest by the Surgical Society of Bangalore. I thank my brother Rajan for that very generous introduction. And I would like to use this opportunity to felicitate and congratulate Drs. Chalani and Dr. Subramani, because recognition by peers is one of the most genuine recognitions that one can get. And they have been honored by their peers today. So it is a very special occasion for them, and my congratulations to them. I have been given just 15 minutes to complete this historical journey, which has led to the PET scan machine. So let me get started. The journey starts 200 years ago in 1820, when English chemist John Dalton came out with his atomic theory, where he said all matter is composed of tiny particles called atoms, which he considered indivisible. Then in 1865, Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell was doing some experiments with electricity, magnetism, and light. And he came to the startling conclusion that all these 3 phenomena were manifestations of the same thing called electromagnetism. And he developed 4 equations which form the foundation of electromagnetic theory even today. He said electromagnetic energy will be transmitted in the form of waves. He called them radio waves. And in 1885, German physicist Heinrich Hertz was able to create these radio waves in his laboratory and proved that Clerk Maxwell's predictions were correct. Hertz also chanced upon the fact that when light fell on certain substances, an electric current was created. Unfortunately, he was not able to investigate further because he died at the very young age of 63. Sorry, a young age of 37, sorry. Then in 1896, French physicist Henri Becquerel was doing some experiments with uranium salts in the laboratory, and he had covered it up with black paper, and a nearby photographic plate got exposed. So he studied this phenomenon further, and he classified the radiation which was emanating from the uranium salts into 3 categories. He called them alpha particles, beta particles, and gamma radiation. The following year, in 1897, J.J. Thomson at Cambridge, an English physicist, was doing experiments with cathode rays and discovered the electron. The electron, he said, is a tiny particle with a negative charge, and it has got a very tiny mass of only 1,840th of the mass of a proton. It's very, very tiny mass. Becquerel's discovery of this spontaneous emission of particles intrigued 2 other physicists, Pierre Curie and Marie Curie, and they did a lot of experiments on this in Paris in the late 1890s, and they came out with the term radioactivity. They found that certain elements like uranium and radium spontaneously emitted radiation of the 3 categories mentioned by Becquerel, and they also discovered the elements radium and polonium, for which Marie and Pierre Curie were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903. In 1900, German physicist Max Planck was doing some experiments with heat, which we now call infrared radiation, which is also a manifestation of electromagnetism. He discovered that Newtonian laws of physics, which were very good for explaining macro phenomena, did not work at the subatomic level, and a new theory was needed. So he came out with the quantum theory, where he said electromagnetic energy is transmitted in the form of tiny particles, which he called quanta, which are now called photons. They are tiny packets of energy which have neither charge nor mass, but just tiny packets of energy. He also devised a formula to calculate the energy of these photons. It is a constant multiplied by the frequency of the radiation, and the constant is called Planck's constant. It is a very tiny number. It is 6.62 into 10 to the power of minus 34. I would like you to remember this fact because I'll be referring to it later. In 1905, Albert Einstein was able to explain the phenomenon which was first noticed by Heinrich Hertz of light falling on a substance and an electric current being created. He used Planck's quantum theory and said these tiny bullets of energy, of photons, knock electrons out of the atoms and create this electric current. He proved Planck's theory correct. In the same year, Einstein also postulated the special theory of relativity, which amongst other hypotheses also said that energy and mass are interconvertible. Then into this exciting world of subatomic physics, in 1926, a young Englishman appeared. His name was Paul Dirac. And Paul Dirac had an interesting background. He started life, he studied electrical engineering. He started life as an electrical engineer, did not like it because his heart lay in pure mathematics. He went and did a 2-year degree course in Cambridge in higher mathematics, and then went to St. John's College in Cambridge to work as a research assistant. He started trying to develop a single mathematical equation uniting Einstein's special theory of relativity with Planck's theory of quantum theory. In the process of doing so, he developed an equation, and he was a great believer in something called beauty in mathematics. He was obsessed with beauty in mathematics. He didn't like the equation he developed because he thought it was very ugly. Then, in a flash of intuition, he came out with the theory that there's something called antimatter in existence, that all particles have their mirror image with the opposite charge. And he said, in nature, you will find the mirror image of the electron, but with a positive charge. Of course, at that time, everybody laughed at him. And in 1932, the American physicist Carl Anderson was experimenting with cosmic rays at the California Institute of Technology. He was passing cosmic rays through a Wilson cloud chamber, which is nothing but a glass case full of alcohol vapor. And as these particles go through the chamber, they leave ionization trails, which are photographed and studied by the physicists to find out their characteristics. He was intrigued to find something which resembled an electron but traveling in the opposite direction. So he continued his research for a full year, and he discovered this particle which was exactly like an electron but with a positive charge. He called it the positron. Paul Dirac's prediction was proved right. Now, what happens when a positron and an electron collide? They have opposite charges. So when they collide, according to Einstein's equivalence of mass and energy, their mass is converted into energy, and two tiny photons of energy emerge, but they fly off in opposite directions. Now, I remember I told you that Planck had come out with this formula called H into is constant into frequency to determine the energy of these photons. So the mass of the electrons is very tiny, and Planck's constant is a tiny number. So the photons which emerge from this collision are extremely low energy photons. This is important because high energy gamma radiation is extremely damaging to human tissue. But it is possible to make use of these low energy photons and see if something can be done with it. Therefore, medical professionals, physicists, computer professionals, tomography specialists all got together and devised this positron emission scanning machine in which a mildly radioactive dye is injected into the body, and by natural radioactive decay, positrons are emitted, which collide with electrons in the tissue, and these photons emerge. Now, I told you the photons fly off in opposite directions. So detectors made out of bismuth germanite are placed in a ring around the body, and the photons are captured, and the science of tomography is able to stitch these photons into a usable image. So that is the physics underlying the positron emission tomography machine. And this journey has lasted almost 180 to 200 years. And I'm sure further advances will take place in the coming years. So there I end my journey there of this this journey of discovery. And I hope you all enjoyed this peek into scientific history. Thank you very much. Yes, I finished.
Sir, thank you, sir. Be online. Kindly appreciate a token of thing from Surgical Society. Pai just display sir's memento. It's our privilege and our honor to have you. Everybody is excited to see your biodata, sir, and your PPT. I've shared in the surgical group. It's YouTube live, it's Facebook live. We are excited to have different platforms, sir, altogether to know most of you. I mean, most about you, your experience in army, sir. Can you see the memento, sir? It will reach you, sir. Probably I will personally hand over.
Thank you very much.
It's a great honor to have you on platform, sir, today.
Thank you so much.
Surgical fraternity. Yes, sir. It's
Thank you
our
all
honor
very
to
much.
have both the brothers who have reached their pinnacle in their respective fields, sir. Thank you, sir. I think we are running ahead of time. Okay. So I call upon Shivram, sir. That was a great presentation, sir. Rajkumar, sir. Thank you for having you on surgical audience, sir. Shivram, sir, please introduce Professor B.N. Balakrishna Rao, orator, Dr. Santosh Jan Abraham today.
Yes, Venkatesh, I am being sanitized.
Yes, sir. It is self-survival, sir, now. We don't know who is next. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, everybody. It's a great privilege and honor to introduce a very accomplished doyen of surgery of our time, Dr. Santosh John Abraham. Dr. Santosh John Abraham was born on 29th March 1961. An academics student of brilliance, he completed his MBBS in 1983 and his master's in surgery in 1988 from the Trivandrum Medical College of the University of Kerala, and he secured top ranks and gold medals in both levels of examination, both in MBBS and also MS. He then went on to the United Kingdom, and in 1990, within 3 months, he secured the Fellowship of Surgery FRCS from each of the 3 Royal Colleges of Surgeons of England, Glasgow, and Edinburgh, this being a remarkable achievement. In August 1991, he also earned the Diplomate of the National Board of Examinations of New Delhi in general surgery. In 2015, he was awarded the Honorary Fellowship of the American College of Surgeons. Okay. All his knowledge and skills were now put into human service to the surgical patients in Kerala from December 1990 onwards. His assistant professor, Department of Surgical Oncology, Regional Cancer Center, Trivandrum for 2 years, and then moved to become senior consultant and head of the Department of Surgery at the MOSC Hospital, Kolancheri, Cochin for the next 3 years. From August 1995 to the present, he has served as the senior consultant and head of the Department of Surgery, Lourdes Hospital, Cochin, Kerala. Lourdes Hospital is a 750-bedded multi-specialty hospital and working at a tertiary referral level. The department performs more than 2,000 major surgeries and 4,000 minor surgeries in a year. This covers the entire range of general surgical services with a special interest in surgical oncoplasty reconstruction of the breast. The department is recognized and has become a center of excellence for postgraduate studies in surgery training, leading to the award of the DNB. Dr. Santosh John Abraham is known across the country for his very learned and vast surgical academia. He has invested his time and energy in research with ongoing studies on serotonin and adrenergic receptors and the effects of microwaves on breast tumors. He has shared his knowledge and expertise at all levels, whether it is international, national, regional, or state level, in the form of over 100 oral presentations, many invited lectures, and many more orations. He has published over 50 papers and contributed many chapters in important textbooks. Dr. Santosh John Abraham is a very, very hard-working person and a taskmaster. You must have seen him how academic and hardworking in the regional refresher courses, which is conducted by the Association of Surgeons of India. I'm sure this is the one program which has reached almost every postgraduate across our country, and it has united all surgeons of our country. This is the hard work of Dr. Santosh John Abraham. And yet, his real zest has been his organizational and administrative contributions. He has held office at many surgical bodies. He was the organizing secretary of the annual Mammoth Surgical Meet of the country, the ASICC at Kochi in 2011. He rose to the pinnacle of surgical stature to be the president of the Association of Surgeons of India for 2015. He has seen that organization through some testing times and has brought about much clarity and focus in its function. He stood like a rock when the Association of Surgeons of India was going through tough time and brought it to the present level of excellence in all fields. Currently, he is the Director of Academics with the Association of Surgeons of India and leads with his relentless and tireless pursuit of spreading surgical knowledge and skills across the country. Within this busybody person, Dr. Santosh remains a most humane, humble, and jovial person. He is ever smiling and genuine at social gatherings. By being married to Dr. Shobha, an anesthetist, Dr. Santosh has a son and a daughter and leads a very stable family life. The Surgical Society of Bangalore and the Association of Surgeons of India City Chapter of Bangalore is proud, privileged, and honored to have none other than Dr. Santosh John Abraham deliver its most prestigious annual oration, the Professor B.N. Balakrishna Rao Oration, on the Surgeons' Day of 2020 for being the compassionate humanitarian dedicated to the pursuit of surgical service and who is having towering impact on surgical education. His chosen topic today is radioactivity and the surgeon for this oration. Again, a great topic, and most surgeons will love to hear on this. Over to you, Dr. Santosh, for your oration. Thank you.
Thank you, Shriram sir. That was a great introduction. I think Dr. Santosh John Abraham sir has already done an oration on Balakrishna Rao. This is a second oration. And for your information, he has done a research on all the orators of India. Go ahead, sir. Dr. Santosh John Abraham. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah.
A very good evening to all of you. I bring in fraternal greetings to all of you from Cochin. I'm really honored by the kind word of introduction done by Dr. Shivram. I'm thankful to all the members of the Bangalore Surgical Society, particularly the office bearers of 2020 for having chosen me as to deliver this Balakrishna Rao oration for 2020. I feel proud for three important reasons. I feel I will be the first person recorded in the annals of Society of Bangalore for having given an oration on a web-based platform. Number two, I have done a Balakrishna Rao oration in his memory at the national level, which is a oration which is given to the past presidents. And I'm not too sure whether anybody else has given a second time a Balakrishna Rao oration in the Surgical Society of Bangalore. And most importantly, the third reason, if you look at the lineage, the paternal and maternal lineage of Professor Balakrishna Rao, he has this origin traceable back to Kerala, from I come from. And I don't know there is another surgeon from Kerala who has given this oration.
Sir, please put your slide on full screen.
For these three reasons, I feel really proud. If you look at Balakrishna Rao, he had his education, medical education from Mumbai, went on to UK, came back to the erstwhile Mysore Health Service and became the professor of surgery at Mysore Medical College. He then moved to Gwalior Medical College and remained there as the head of the department for 17 long years before he was invited to take the chair of surgery at All India Institute of Medical Sciences at its inception. Professor Rao was awarded the Padma Shri in 1973, and he was one of the founder members of the Association of Surgeons of India and president in 1962. He was an every-inch surgeon, full of knowledge, quick in decision, with masterly operating craftsmanship, and above all, an able administrator. He passed away silently on the 7th of March in 1995 while watching a game of cricket. I would like to place on record my sincere gratitude to one of your own members, Professor K.S. Sheher, who was past president of ASI, somewhere along 8 years back when I did some research on the orators whose data was not available with ASI. Dr. Sheher has been kind enough to spare one of his books where he has mentioned many details of Professor Balakrishna Rao. I chose the subject of radioactivity when Professor Clement Rajan shared that his brother, Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, is going to talk on PET scan, as he was the chief guest of the day. I felt thrilled for a chance to impress upon an Air Marshal the knowledge which I have on PET and radioactivity, but I found myself that was a foolhardy commitment which I made to Professor Rajan on the realization of my ignorance that I knew nothing about radioactivity. So I had to do some work, had a glimpse into the science, and have spent more time in collecting and arranging the slides which I had related to radioactivity, which I'm proud to share with you. I hope you all remember this Manhattan Project, where some glimpses have been given by Air Marshal Rajkumar, the creativity of nuclear warfare. And the great Allied forces made two of such things, what's called the Little Boy, a gun-type fission weapon that used uranium, and a Fat Man device, implosion type of nuclear weapon that used plutonium. And in 1945, one of the days, the great Allies decided to bomb Hiroshima. This picture is known to everybody. Almost 1.5 lakhs of men died, and the effects of that lasted for long. A second bombing, a few days' time in Nagasaki, killed another 2.5 lakhs. And since then, nuclear activity has been considered as a dangerous activity, and hence a lot of care has been taken on this. Till about 40 years, we had no problem, till we had the fourth reactor of Chernobyl getting burst. That killed only a very few, 31 people, but the effect of that lasted for long. The killing actually occurred because of malnourishment and the death due to elopement from the various areas. As Dr. Rajkumar has set the platform well for me, I would think that we have two types of radiation. One is the non-ionizing radiation and the ionizing radiation. He has given a detail about the ionizing radiation, which is a reason for genesis of cancer. At the same time, it is also used extensively in medical profession as a diagnostic tool as well as a treatment tool. We have radiation all around us. There is a spontaneous decay that occurs all over the earth, cosmic rays from the sun, protected by the ozone layer, and from devices that you use from X-ray machines to discarded TVs. The radiation that we come across are natural background radiation to the tune of 295 MREM. Man-made radiation accounts to 63. There is a global exposure and explosion of this man-made radiation, which is a cause of concern to the human being as of date. Radioactivity are isotopes, which are chemical elements produced through natural decay. To tell you that 1 in 50 humans use diagnostic nuclear medicine in each year, out of that 10% use this number to take the therapy. Many Nobel laureates have been involved, from Madame Curie down to anybody. It can be, radioactivity can be used orally, injected or inhaled. And the way to detect this is using a SPECT camera or a positron emission tomography. What do? They study the blood supply to the specific organs, assess the function of the organ, they assess the bone growth and predict the effects of surgery and assess the changes. So radioactivity is harmful, but it is made safe by the shorter half-life and hence a faster decay. Before it can give rise to problems to the human being, it just disappears from the human body. So they are used in the therapeutic field by giving radioactivity and DNA molecules stranded, which gets killed by the radioactivity. Now, looking at the economics of radioactivity, we have a global market value of billions of dollars, and that is going to jack up like anything by 2021, almost to the tune of its double. North America is the dominant market for the diagnostic radioisotopes. Close to the half market belongs to Europe, but rest to the third world countries, and India is on an exponential phase of growth and contributes to this in near future. Where do we use this? We use this in preoperative setting for myocardial perfusion studies, ventilation studies, for epileptic foci, in oncology, in nephrourology, in gastrointestinal tree, in endocrine situations. Intraoperatively, as you all know, the technetium labeled ones are used for sentinel node imaging. We do have a lot of use for FITs in post-op situations, particularly in oncology, where you do a lot of bone scans, you do ablative therapy for thyroid cancers, neuroendocrine tumors, and you can use it for diagnosis of PE in ventilation scans. You can use it for post-operative sepsis. You can use it for nephrourology. I'll come back to that in detail. What made a phenomenal change in the diagnostic scheme using radioactivity is the identification that iodide gets completely absorbed by the thyroid tissue. And we have two types of radioactively active iodine. They are 131, which emits two kinds of radiation, which is beta and gamma. The gamma is short lasting, and whereas, and hence it gives rise to less radiation. It is achieved by 123, but the most important factor is that technetium also does the same thing. They share the same pathway. The sodium iodide symporter exactly the same as the radium, the iodine does. And today, radioactivity, scanning of the thyroid is exclusively done by technetium 99 pertechnate, whereas iodine 131 is generally used for therapy. 20 minutes down the line, the technetium pertechnate injection, you can start screening the patient and you get a lot of information. This is a normal colorful scan of the thyroid. In a Graves' disease, you have got a preferential intake of this. Sometimes a subtle exophthalmos where you don't have any change except for a raised pulse rate and a very marginal elevation in the thyroid function test. You can utilize this technique to diagnose Graves' disease. But more importantly, it is used to detect a hyperfunctioning nodule, what we call in clinical medicine as a autonomous nodule. It is also important that one finds out the isolated lingual thyroid and establish that there is no other thyroid tissue prior to surgery of this or prior to treatment of this lingual thyroid. Occasionally, a burned out thyroid of thyroiditis shows no activity in thyroid in the neck area. This is a typical example of a lingual thyroid. The patient has presented with obstructed symptoms. We had to prove that there is no thyroid elsewhere in the human body before we tackle this. And this patient had to go for a surgery for impending respiratory obstruction, which almost was occluding the laryngeal inlet. In post-operative situations, you do what is called a whole body iodine scan and a whole body iodine therapy after that. A whole body iodine scan followed by a therapy. Please understand that these uptakes are not by the abnormal or cancer tissues. These are taken up by original, well-functioning, warm thyroid cells, and hence this is an anticipatory treatment because well-differentiated follicular neoplasms are notoriously known to have multifocal origin. When you look at parathyroid, technetium is again coming in the picture as STAMB, and this is the kind of picture, and you just subtract the image of thyroid and you get localizing to the right neck. And when you do a SPECT camera, this colorful image has come in. This helps the surgeon to localize. We do an ultrasound on table, locate this. You can see the trachea here, my cursor, the thyroid gland, underneath the parathyroid comes in. You put a small incision, the parathyroid comes out through a focused parathyroidectomy. The radionuclide scans in renal studies have 3 bearings. You do have a cortical scintigraphy to assess the functional renal parenchyma, diuretic scintigraphy, which you use for dilated pelvic ileal system, and the radionuclide cystogram is a very sensitive test for VUR. Once you look at this technetium is handled by different kinds of material. They are called cold kit, and depending on the cold kit that is used, the technetium goes and does its function. DMSA is for cortical scintigraphy. The ideal, you have to look at it for DMSA. You use it for assessment of the scarring of the kidney. It will identify the horseshoe kidney. It also would identify the cross-tectopia. So one need to select the radioactivity for that particular reason. When you come to DTPA, then this is a dynamic GFR clearing. It does not get held in the kidney, and it is more hence specific for obstructive lesions. This is a typical normal renogram. You can see both the kidneys being well visualized. And this is a typical patient who comes with a palpable, visible kidney mass. When you do an ultrasound, you see a dilated pelviureteric system. The cortical thickening is on the borderline. When you do an IVU, you get a non-visualized ureter and a grossly dilated pelviureteric system. Had there been a minimal pelviureteric system, you could have gone for what is called an endopilotomy and placement of a stent, but this would mean that you need to have an operation done. The radionuclide scan shows very minimal cortical function. You can either try to improve the cortical function by a percutaneous nephrostomy, give time to develop, or you can go for a direct surgery, which is a membered or a dismembered Henderson-Hines pyeloplasty. And you post-operatively assess, and it has got improved function, and this will help you in making a complete satisfied surgical outcome. You can also give technetium-99 mercaptoacetylglycerin in patients who have got borderline renal failure. Nucleotide hepatobiliary studies are yet another area which is used at times. You again have got 3 different techniques to use, out of which the HIDA is the diagnostic thing for a biliary atresia. You can see the dye getting concentrated here, and you can start seeing the ductal system and its drainage to the gastrointestinal tree. This is a normal HIDA scan, whereas this is a HIDA scan of a biliary atresia where there is no communication, no ductal system delineation. So this is used by the pediatric surgeons. Where do we use? We do big Whipple surgery where you have completely dissected the portal vein, we have dissected the splenic vein, we have delineated very well the superior mesenteric vein, every artery is skeletonized. You are very happy at the end of the surgery that you have done an R0 resection and patient is going to do well. But unfortunately, the 3rd, 4th day the patient is having, doesn't look good, but you are not able to have much of imaging. An imaging which shows with CT will show fairly an edematous thing. We need to resort to, sometimes we are not too sure, the blocked drainage tube, patient is not doing well. We may have to go for a radionuclide HIDA scan. This is a normal pancreatic duct that you see, and you get collections of radioactive material in the pancreatic jejunostomy stem, and there is no leak, and you could be, sighing well that your patient is intact. This is one of the solace that you have in such major surgeries. Nucleotide lung studies is utilized in suspected PE, pulmonary embolism. It's a sensitive test. Macroaggregated albumins are used. A chest X-ray might give you a little bit idea, but a CT scan would show the Hampton's hump and this thing, but it will not say whether it's a consolidation or it is a P. The best way to do is a lung scan. This is a normal lung scan. And when you have a P, the appearance changes. You have both posterior and anterior way to come into the picture. You have a well-established P. You can start, treatment for a P, and also the prognosis can be explained to the patient. Another area where nucleotide, I have no experience with this. This is a borrowed slide. This shows, the superficial lymphatic block, wherein technetium sulfur colloid is given as an agent, and you demonstrate the block. MIBG scan and DOTA progression. MIBG is being done extensively. At least when we were students, octreotide scans were the way to go ahead, which got replaced by MIBG scan. And today it has been replaced by DOTA-NOC and DOTA-TATE and DOTA-TOC, which are different cold kit agents which have been used. And you subtract the area, you can find out adrenal tumors, you can find paraganglionoma, extra parathyroid diseases, etc., etc. It also has got a role to play. The DOTA has got a role to play to pick up neuroendocrine tumors, which is, I think, which is coming up in a big way in science today, particularly in surgery, whether to operate or not, their progression, DOTA plays an important role in that. You and me are going to do bone scan, and this is part of the staging process, at least in a locally advanced breast cancer. On your left-hand side, you see the normal bone scan, and you see on the right-hand side, the skeletal tree being affected by at different areas by metastasis. Nucleotide brain scan, again, I must confess that I have no personal experience on this. I believe that the epileptic focus and those who are doing the epileptic focus surgeries can come down to this. You have a SPECT camera giving you the correct position of the epileptic focus, and the surgeon can trace that. The myocardial studies of using radioactive material previously used to be with thalliums. Today is sestamibene. Again, I have no idea about that. What we use today in majority of our situation is a fluorine 18-fluorodeoxyglucose PET scan. As you all know, it's a cyclotron produced agent, and it is taken up by fastly dividing cells. So it is a positron emitting, it gets absorbed. But the problem is that it has got a lot of false positivity, as you all know. This is a normal PET scan, FDG PET scan. And this is a PET scan which shows extensive metastasis, which is being done for a locally advanced breast carcinoma. You can see the left side of the breast being studded with uptake. You can see the liver being studded with uptake. You can see the liver on the other side that's studded with metastasis, bone being involved. So it's an extensive metastatic involvement. So PET scans in clinical medicine is something which is quite useful. But I must also tell that the flip side of PET scan, a fewer centers and few qualified hands have to interpret. One of the most commercialized investigation in medical profession today, FDG PET is very much non-specific, and hence its reliability on clinical use needs to be taken with a pinch of salt whenever you have clinical variation with other modalities. I'm not saying that it is not to be used, but it used to be used with caution. Radionuclide, a word about radionuclide therapy. You use I-131 in well-differentiated thyroid cancers, which is known to everybody. Lutetium-177 is used in carcinoma of prostate. It is a specific beta emitter. As I mentioned, DOTA in neuroendocrine tumors. Phosphorus, samarium, strontium, etc. used to be used in the past, but no longer anything. We have seen the catastrophes which this nuclear energy gives rise to. Are we safe? Or how do you ensure safety? I have come across a beautiful article which relates the Air Force men, the pilots, and the surgeons and the medical fraternity. This is a slide which has made me think a lot. I thought it should be worth sharing with you. Please study this slide. We need to improve the culture of safety. When pilots are asked, is there a negative impact on the fatigue on your performance? 74% of them said yes, fatigue do affect their outcome. Whereas medical personnel said only 30% fatigue is there. More importantly, do you reject advice from juniors? Pilots said only 3% reject the advice from the juniors, but the thick surgeon said 45% they reject their juniors. Is there any analysis in the system? Pilots confess that the error is 100%, whereas surgeons committed only 30%. Do you think that you make mistakes? 100% of the pilots said yes, and surgeons said 30% only confessed that they could ever be committing mistakes. Easy to focus and report mistakes. 100% of the pilots said yes, only 56% of the surgeons said. This is something which I thought I owe to Philip Rajkumar, Air Marshal, for giving me the thought that surgeons are not infallible. Lessons from the health to the airline, from the airline industry, I must conclude, we need to learn from them that acceptance that staff can make mistakes and role of a teamwork needs to be emphasized. And that, if I can convey to my junior colleagues and my peers, I'm done with this talk. I'm happy if you can take this message back home and dwell on your results and be a little more careful in accepting your mistakes and do a good job. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for a patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Abraham, sir. See, we'll have to respect the time, and the time never comes back. We are the time schedule is going as per the plans. Thank you, Abraham, sir. A small memento from Surgical Society Bangalore, ASICC Bangalore chapter. It's from President Ma'am. It'll be courier or it can be delivered. So the whole EC wants to visit the backwaters or the Astamoli if the lodging and boarding is taken care of.
I will try to do that.
Yes.
Well, welcome to Kerala in any case.
Yes, sir. Not no, sir. Maybe later. Definitely we're going to trouble you. A small...
Thank you, Dr. Shivram.
Yes, sir. It'll be courier, please.
Thank you.
You covered almost everything, sir. Radioactivity. That was a great eye opener for all the surgical fraternity. Thank you, sir. We are taking photograph without you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thanks for your invite to the Cochin, sir. You are taking a risk of inviting all of us. Thank you, sir. Don't please log out. We are going to have a national anthem at the end. We have come to the end of the program. Thanks for all the surgeons who have cooperated in this busy schedule and this Corona times. So it's a vote of thanks. So I'd like to say thanks to my dynamic president, the advisors, the EC for organizing this offline and online Surgeons Day and giving us a chance to honor the senior surgeons.
Dr. Venkatesh?
Yes, ma'am.
We are here just to thank everyone. The team is here.
Yeah.
Dr. Santosh, sir, that was excellent. Thank you so much for being with us for the last 1.5 hours. Thank you so much, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. You're seen, you're audible, everything.
And my heartfelt thanks to the chief guest, Air Marshal Rajkumar. Thank you, sir. That was an excellent talk from you. And I also thank the senior surgeons, Dr. Subramaniam and Dr. Chalani, who have been felicitated by us, and to all the members I thank. My wishes to all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'd like to say thanks to Chalani sir and Subramani sir, the senior surgical surgeons fraternity, for accepting our invitation to honor us. I'd like to thank Santosh Jan Abraham sir, remotely from Cochin. You gave us a beautiful address, sir. I mean, that radioactivity was the subject. We choose one of those 3 subjects. I'd like to thank Dr. Krishna Kumari and Shilpa, who gave us invocation. I'd like to thank Manish and Jaka for introducing senior surgeons. I'd like to thank Rajan sir for introducing your brother to surgical society, sir. I'd like to thank Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar, who showed us a different field altogether with all the flights. I'd like to thank Shiram sir for introducing the Balakrishna Rao orator, John Abraham sir. I'd like to thank Zydus, Thiru and Harsha for being with us with their technical support. I'd like to thank Jain Hospital Management for giving that hall. I would like to thank my Surgical Society office, Glenn and Kumar. Kumar is not well. He was supposed to be there because he had cold. Again, this is the Corona time. Thank you, Glenn and Kumar. I'd like to thank all the surgical fraternity for staying with us with this great Surgeons Day. Thank you all. Please, we'll stand and respect our national anthem. Harsh, can you play the national anthem?
Yes, yes.
Please stand wherever you are.
Not audible.
Audio is not there.
Shrikant, unshare and share with the audio option on.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय
Thank you all. Please take care of yourselves and the society. Thank you. Thank you all for joining this great meeting. You can leave the meeting. Thank you.